So, slightly more complicated example. This is a cylindrical tank. The diameter is 6 meters. There's a tap at T. Water is entering into the tank at a rate of 0.48 pi meters cubed per minute, and it's leaving out of this tap at a rate of 0.6 pi h meters per cube. So, setting up that first equation is a little bit more complicated this time. Once we've done that, we need to show this thing here. All right. So, first thing is to write this thing here mathematically. So this is going to be our rate of change equation, but it's 2 bits we need to take into account this time. So any idea how we might start that? What is it we've got? Is it dh by dt, dv by dx, dA by dp? What have we got? That's the first thing. And if you're not certain, again, look at the units.
So over dt.
So over dt. So that's t there. What's this thing?
Then it's
volume. So it is dv by dt. Now that's equal to 2 things. There's stuff going in, so it's equal to 0.48 pi, because that's going into the tank. But how do I get around the stuff that's leaving the tank?
Oh, so take away.
Take away. So we end up with that statement there. So far so good. So the 0.48 pi is going in, so that's positive. This is leaving the tank, so it's negative. Good start then. Now what is it we want? Well, looking at what we've got to show, we need to end up with dh by dt. Okay, happy with that?
Wait, what does that say after 0.6?
Pi h.
Okay.
Yeah. So dh by dt, and again, as I said previously, we start with this thing here. So that's what we're given. We haven't asked us to do that for fun. So we've got dv by dt, and then we need to work out what we need to multiply it by. So what do we need to multiply it by? Well, I need dt needs to stay in there.
dh dv.
Perfect. dv's cancel out, dh by dt. Good. dv by dt I've already got. I'm going to need to work out what dh by dv is. What we need to do next is we need to work out a formula that connects v and h, or h and v. But looking at this picture here, it's probably easiest to work out what v is. So what shape is it?
Cylinder.
Cylinder. Brilliant. What's the formula for the volume of a cylinder? Now you're going to need to learn this because it's not given on the formula sheet.
Pi r squared times height.
Pi r squared times height. Fantastic. And in this case, what's r? 3. And h is going to be in the formula anyway, so r is equal to 3. So we're doing pi times by 3 squared times by h. So that tells us that v is equal to 9 pi h. Alright, so that's looking good. Something we can differentiate. I'm going to get dv by dh, which is fine, because we just flip it upside down afterwards. So what is dv by dh? So v is 9 pi h, so dv by dh is?
9 pi.
Just 9 pi. Perfect. So dh by dv is equal to?
dh by dv is 1 over 9.
1 over 9 pi. And that should be enough to give us what we're aiming for. So swapping everything in. So we've got dh by dt is equal to 0.48 pi minus 0.6 pi h. Put that in a bracket because it's all multiplied by 1 over 9 pi. Now that might not look like the answer we're aiming for, but it isn't going to be far off. I can see some similarities. There's something take away something. I'm looking here, and because there's pi's, I can probably cancel all those out. So it looks promising. So now it's just a case of can we manipulate this to make it look like this. So what would be a good suggestion? What do you think we should do first? To make this look like this?
Expand the brackets?
Expand the brackets? No, I don't think I would do that. You could. You could.
Oh, substitute the other h.
Don't need to do that either. Because I don't like the fraction, that's what I don't like. So how can I get rid of that 1 over 9 pi? What can I times the other side by?
Divide by 9 pi.
Times by 9 pi. So we
Oh
get
yeah, because it's 1 over, isn't it?
yeah, so 9 pi dh by dt is equal to 0.48 pi times 0.6 pi h. And that's a good thing to do because there's no fractions in that. So that should be a good start. And then looking at that, I can see each term has pi. So I'm going to divide by pi and we get rid of all of those. So that's looking promising as well. Temptation here is just to write, well, that it sort of looks like that, so let's just assume it is. But they're going to need to see a little bit more proof than that. The thing I don't like on this side here, which doesn't exist on this side, so what are these things that these aren't? That's a terrible question, but it doesn't really matter. So what's 0.48?
Integers.
We need to change them into integers. Brilliant. So what can I multiply through the equation by to get them all into whole numbers?
So you divide both sides by pi?
I divided through by pi, yeah, that's right. So if I multiply each term, I think this is the one that's going to be the hardest to change into an integer.
Whatever 9 times, so it's only divided by 9?
You could do that,
So
that would work.
That number.
Because we know what the answer is, we could do that, that's perfectly good. But I'm going to do it in a way that's probably a little bit more precise, but you're right, that works. But Fuzzy's right, we need to change these things into integers. So what do I need to times 0.48 by to make it into a whole number? Don't make it complicated. What's the easiest thing to times that by to change it into a whole number?
0.48.
100. Just times by 100.
Oh.
So I end up with 900 dh by dt is equal to 48 minus 60h.
But could you just divide 75 by 9?
You could, yeah, you could do that. As long as you wrote down what you were doing, because obviously they've told you what the answer is. So you need to tell them what you're doing.
Happen to
Yeah.
find whether it's
Exactly.
whatever it is, 6 1.
Exactly. But this is probably a more precise way of doing it, but your method is perfectly
How
good.
would you know that you had to do that though?
Because you have to look at the answer. And if you compare this to this, the whole numbers, and change what the whole numbers, then see what happens. Now looking at what I've got, what can I divide 48 by to get 4, and 60 by to get 5, and probably 900 by to get 7? Not 30.
12.
12. Oops.
Never mind.
So divide by 12, and we end up with 75 dh by dt is equal to 4 minus 5h, and we've done it.
Can I ask one question? How did you know that dv/dt was like the stuff going in minus the stuff coming out?
Well, that's, yeah. So the ones that we've done previously, when we've looked at rates of change and it's been an increase, it's just been a plus.
Yeah.
So when the Q was increasing, it was a positive rate of change. So that one there, that's going in, so that's going to be positive.
Okay.
But if things are decreasing, like going down, which is what will happen when the water leaves the tap,
Okay.
then it'll be a negative rate of change. So this is coming in, and it's sort of cancelled out by that going out.